Hello everyone, Bardic Nerd here, returning with my Let's Play of Millennia. We are playing Millennia, the great British Empire, establishing our global colonial empire. Um, Now, unfortunately, there was a problem recording the audio with this and the several subsequent sessions. So I am doing a voiceover for them that will hopefully explain what happened more or less in those sessions. We'll see how that goes. So this was during the Age of Enlightenment. Um, we are somewhere through the Age of Enlightenment at this time. I can't remember exactly how far. Um, but we appear to be figuring out where we currently are in the session. So possibly we'll skip ahead just a little bit until we get started in doing stuff here. Right, so we looks like we have just entered the Age of Enlightenment research colonies, and are starting Age of Enlightenment. It starts to take a little bit longer to go through the ages, so we are figuring out. Yes, we have researched most of the stuff for us. It looks like and just figuring out what to research next and what plans to make as far as research goes. Currently, we're researching public sphere. We've gotten colonies. Public sphere will get us, as I recall, another town or something, which will be very useful. Now, are we have established Cardiff over here. We were working on establishing some new places. We did establish London and Cardiff, and we're working on establishing some outposts over there, um, to get stuff. And here we have the other nations and comparing them. The United Kingdom being a small, pathetic one. Shang Dynasty. Let's see here. Um, oh, well, we've gone ahead. It's going to be a little bit trickier to keep up with this. Yes, we're just exploring the other nations. That is Zulu. This is China. Um, and this is Egypt. All three moderately, slightly below me in power level, but not much nations at this point. Um, as I recall, we were at war briefly with a couple of them, but nothing actually happened because they pieced out by the time we got our ships over there. Not that we could do anything except bombard them, really, anyways, because we didn't send any armies, and you can't actually see cities with ships, unfortunately. Um, there's some implication that you can, but it's actually a lie. Um, so yes, uh, all three of them, not entirely pushovers, but definitely less powerful than me. Then we have, I think we're gonna look at the Shang Dynasty and Brazil. Right there is the United Kingdom over there with their one city. Um, Very pathetic. We have the Shang Dynasty, and Brazil. Um, and they are a bit more on our level. Shang Dynasty on my level, just slightly ahead, maybe. Brazil, I think, maybe a bit further ahead. Yes, Brazil a bit more powerful. Not a lot more, but a little bit more. Um, and Brazil a bit hostile to me. Shang Dynasty has been hostile, but not too hostile. Um, China and Zulu both have been friendly enough to me. Zulu, I see I'm in an alliance with, not that I'm committed to that alliance or anything, but and China I have open borders with. And I did realize what the problem, why I couldn't actually trade with them. Because you have to actually send an envoy to be able to do trade. You have to have open borders and an envoy sent. But I did not realize that at that time. So, oh well. Alright, we're gonna skip ahead to the next interesting thing, I believe. Alrighty, so, we are now looking back at our own cities, our big capital, sprawling place of Manchester, which is doing pretty good for itself. There are Nigerian armies near me, which are being very annoying. Right, we're going to defeat some barbarians over there, and once we get stuff, we're gonna, as I recall, set up to defeat the Nigerian armies in a skirmish. Um, so I have a bit of a colony over there. Um, so we're just examining the Nigerian armies. They have been sending a bunch of forces over next to me, which is not very neighborly of them, clearly. So we will endeavor to do something about that. They can actually really threaten us, but that's okay. I'm gonna absorb that outpost at some point to get um, another town for Manchester, but not yet. I think Manchester is currently full of towns, so we're just gonna wait. Okay, we have done end turn, so we're just waiting for the AI to take its turn. Just starting to get to the point where it takes a little while. So the between turns can get a little bit boring. But let's see. Yeah. Nigeria fighting fighting me maybe. Fighting my explorer potentially. Alright. We got an explorer going and exploring on the continent near Brazil, just avoiding Brazil's troops while trying to grab any resources that they might not have gotten, like yeah, like any um uh cities, cities of gold, that they might I think it looks like they might have gotten that one already though. Um, but I do recall that I did get a few things before they could get them, which of course is nice. Here's just one of my navies. So I recall we're gonna just engage some of the barbarians with short bombardment. Just mostly for fun, really. So let's yes. Here we go, short bombardment, and well, they die easily. We are very bombardimenty there. Sadly, you can't really actually do much with the beyond just kill unprotected units outside cities with sharp bombardment. That's really all you can do with it. I wish that you could do a bit more with it. Um, but, well, they are actively making improvements to the game. Maybe that'll happen at some point. So, let's see. what comes next here. Right. Yes. We were trying to do a settlement. Um, and Nigeria was interfering with that. Them. Naughty them. Interfering with my establishing a settlement? Huh. Huh. Ugh. Nigeria. Well, they're gonna have to pay for that eventually. Eventually. It'll actually, spoiler, be a little while before they end up paying for it. Because I get my armies together very slowly. Um, so, yeah, I need to, well, that's a skill I need to improve in getting, attacks going quicker, and not waiting until I have the perfect army, for everything. You know, there are benefits to doing a big build-up and then attacking with overwhelming force suddenly all at once, but it's generally in 4X games not actually the winning strategy, because you want to have uh, early attacks a bit more. But so for now we've decided not to send that out, because Nigeria is being too much of a pain. But we will hopefully later send it out after we have dealt with Nigeria. Um, we'll see how that works out. Alright, so we are sending our navies back, so that they are going to can support a war against Nigeria. And here we are attacking the barbarians up here. Just give these guys some training and get rid of these barbarians because the barbarians are annoying, of course. Right. Yes, the other thing I end up waiting for is for the revolution that happens during the Age of Revolution, which is the next age, because a bunch of barbarians will spawn during that age. Um, and so I want to have my forces primed to deal with it before starting a war, which is totally reasonable, of course. Alright, this guy I think is going to settle right a place over here. Um, establish some control over there and potentially in the future get some of the resources here. Not that they're great ones, and as I will discover later, I can get most of these resources better, just by using colonies. So I'll just have these ships that we had sent up. And what I'm mostly done with. Oh, those are actually the merchants, that we are sending to uh, assist in increasing the prosperity of these vassals, because that is a good thing to do. This is a explorer that we had sent over to explore and no longer have much use for, so we're just gonna send him back to hang out near Argos, as I recall. Oh, it's a little early in the morning when I'm recording this. Um, Alright, Manchester, we have troops here. We are establishing the beginnings of an army. We're gonna just keep them at the towns here while we assemble them. And we are just setting on our composition here for our armies. As I recall, we have some ranged units, a regular line unit, And I think we're gonna get a mechanical knight, maybe. We were debating about a longsword, I think. Can't recall if we decided to use one of those. Um, I don't think we do longswords. I think we do a cavalry unit, which is currently our mechanical knight. The dragoon is actually not a cavalry unit, surprisingly enough. Um, you would think that it is, but turns out I think it's not actually I think it's actually a line unit and not a cavalry unit, interestingly enough. And we're also gonna end up with a siege unit, which currently is our giant crossbow. Um, because we do some weird stuff in this age, or actually it was the previous age that I went into the age of discovery instead of the normal age. Um, and that replaces some of the stuff. Now we're in the age of enlightenment, which is the standard age. Alright, so we are starting the mechanical knight here, I believe. We are just hemming and hawing about our choices, I think. But there we go, we have decided. Alright. We are I think gonna might be doing a cutting edge. Sounds about like a thing we would do here. Um yep, and that was indeed what we did. So we're just looking at the Nigerian units, ranting about them a little bit there, of course, how terrible they are. Choosing a new building to build here. Um, Merits of various buildings, which I forget what we considered at the time and what we ultimately chose, but I guess we'll see what we chose. It was perhaps the Emperor's Palace. Those are useful things. Perhaps not. Um, oh, probably a religious building, actually. Yes. Oh, we may have just rushed the religious building. Indeed, we did. Um, and, okay, maybe we'll rush the first religious building and decide to build a second one. Okay. Well, that is that. Um, so arts XP options. We're just right spawning some artists. And yeah, waiting until it's useful to do a cultural movement with the artist, I think. There we go, that's that turn. Alright, so that's that turn. We just so let's see, what do we do this turn? We send the cavalry that we've just built to the army that we are working on. We build the next thing, which apparently is a musket we're building next. So it looks like we're not including a siege engine in this particular army, maybe. Um, Siege engines are of varying use, of course. Um, then siege engines are good for attacking cities, but not as useful in open field battles. Uh, Not that they're unuseful. Alright, so we've developed those barbarians. Now we're gonna send this down and engage the Nigerian armies over here, as I recall. Very successfully, we will do it. This is just going to establish a colony, going to go enhance prosperity. Hmm. Alright, here we are building more buildings. And this place, uh, anything interesting? We are building a, Baroque musician. Oh yes, those are pretty great things that we got in the previous age. Um, Not a thing you normally get. They are a thing you only get in the variant age, but they are great buildings. They give you a wildcard social fabric point, as I recall, um, which is really quite nice. So we are just getting some docks, I believe, here. Just building improvements. Argos has a bit of a problem with not having any land, but it has lots of sea, so lots of docks available, and a fair bit of fishing available also, which is great for some things, but less great for other things. Um, so I'm just looking here at the different resources the docks give me, which, given the some of the wonders I've gotten, which enhanced docks is actually considerable, and also some of the traditions I've gotten also enhanced docks. Alright. Right, so now I'm just figuring out what to do with the culture I have. What do I eventually decide on doing with it? No, I hold it, probably to do a, re-up local reforms later, presumably. That would make sense. China is offering an alliance. Do I accept here is the good question. Do I? China is, looks like I think about this for quite some time. Well, we'll see. I do, and it makes me at war with my former allies. Yes. Classic. Classic. It's classic how that works. And I decide I just don't care much at all about either of them, and do, as I recall, absolutely nothing about it. I just, I had some plans to like get involved in other continents and stuff, establish a worldwide empire. Spoilers, I never really actually do. Um, it's just so much bother to get involved on other continents, and the rewards are actually not amazingly high. Um, when there's still stuff you can do on your own continent, so um, the dynamics that make colonization a uh, thing that is profitable to do Um, and they are, let's be clear, unfortunate dynamics, but that make certain things politically and economically profitable for one nation that is more powerful um, tend not to exist as much in 4X games usually. Um, because generally you don't have one continent where you have a bunch of built up and developed powers of roughly equal strength that are not going to find a lot of profit in trying to conquer territory from each other, and then this other continent where there's much less uh, developed and militarily or economically powerful peoples that the powerful nation can exploit far more easily than they can exploit their neighbors, and that also they might view as less less morally problematic to exploit than their neighbors that might look like them or that might share cultural bonds with. But that's not going to be a thing that enters into 4X games generally. So that's not really a consideration. And of course, to some extent, that consideration will be manufactured to meet political expediency culturally in some ways. Um, because humans can manage to justify a lot of things to themselves when it profits them to do so. Um, but that is just a dynamic that tends not to exist too much in 4X games, which, I mean, it is an unfortunate dynamic in the real world, let's be clear, but it makes for a very interesting gameplay. So you have to actively be setting up the game to achieve that dynamic if you want to have that dynamic happen. When you do, it is very interesting gameplay, of course. Um, uh, because something can be not morally great, but be very interesting to explore as a game. Um, because fantasy is a sometimes we like doing things in fantasy that are not things that we would want to actually do. Um, but sometimes we don't want to do things in fantasy that we would not want to do. And it's different for different people, of course. Um, uh, but so that's enough on that. Let's get back to where we are in the game, of course. We are just looking at how we can best utilize our towns, I believe, our regions, and get the most out of them, I think, and just figuring that out. It's kind of just figuring out how to maximize returns, which is not perhaps the most exciting thing to look at, but uh, figuring out how to maximize returns is a thing that I do find fun to figure out. Um, so we find different things fun, and that does appeal to me. Right. So that is that turn. We're just waiting for the turn to finish processing before we have a new turn. And what's going to happen in this turn? We are going to look at the other people in the world. And see Zulu. Yeah, we are right. We now have an alliance with China against Zulu. Um, because why not? Why not? I don't actually care anything about the other nations in this game. Well, aside from Nigeria. Nigeria I care about. I care about destroying Nigeria because they're annoying. And they're on my continent. And therefore easy to get to and easy to uh, deal with without any logistical hassle. So there we go. Having people on other continents does create more logistical hassle. We're just attacking Nigeria and defeating them soundly, it looks like. We only destroyed one unit, but we routed the other units they had there, forcing them away. If I'd been smart, I perhaps would have done a forced march and then just destroyed the routed units, but I don't think I am that clever. Oh, maybe I am that clever. I do a reinforcement at any rate. But no forced march, it looks like. Alright, this is just the army that I am assembling, and we got those guys, we go to that, and we assemble them there. Assemble, 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 like a Voltron assembling, perhaps. I may have just played this past weekend in a weekend-long LARP, live action role-playing game, which is kind of my primary hobby. And my character was trying to assemble Voltron, so I have Voltron on the mind. I never actually really watched the series, so I don't know much about it. It's not actually a genre that I find that interesting, unfortunately, but I really enjoyed playing the character and trying to assemble Voltron in the game. So, hey. Um, Maybe I will end up watching the series just because of that, even though I'm not usually into things with mecha. Mecha just does not really do it for me. And mecha that assembles into machines that assemble into a bigger machine and become more than the sum of their parts, I find really silly because that actually would never work. Um, but humans become more than the sum of their parts when they work together. Machines don't in that particular way. Um, and it is generally not physically possible for them to do so. Um, but I guess the idea of Voltron is that it's not about it being a physical object, it's about it being a spiritual object as well as a physical object or something. I'm not actually fully versed in it, but that's my understanding. So, right, that is the game. What are we doing here in the game? We are enhancing our towns, actually, is what we were doing because we haven't yet discovered the tech that will allow us to get our towns better. We have just decided to do it right now because we apparently have been putting it off. Or maybe we no, we haven't actually discovered public sphere yet. Um, so I don't know why we're suddenly doing this all of a sudden. We just didn't think of it before, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. Um, we just realized we could do this, I guess. Um, what are we building here now? Finish the waterworks, which will give us sanitation, and we are now going to get a museum, maybe? Museums are useful. We're gonna get, we're gonna look at the things that we can't build. That's what we're gonna do. Um, alright. We're gonna make a medieval university, maybe? Watch. A watch, it looks like. A watch is good. Prevent unrest, which is important thing to prevent. Don't want those people getting restless and hiding or whatever they do when they get restless. Alright. Okay. Just a battle attacking Nigeria. And just easily destroying stuff. Alright. A trade factory. Yes, we want the trade factory. It's quite nice. Alright, and we got it. It's like, are you gonna make the smart decision, past self? I can't trust my past self. My past self is sometimes very silly. Are we gonna change the specialization to, we keep the specialization as a castle for now, I think. We'll just upgrade those things, I guess. Looks like. Alright. This is actually our only outpost at the moment, I think. Okay, we do change it to a colony, maybe? I don't know. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. Colonies are useful. Um, I mean, colony gives you a little bit more. Allows you to build all the same buildings as a castle and gives you some different I guess castle gives you like warfare XP or something like that. Colony gives you culture and um, money, which at this point is often more useful than the warfare XP, I guess. Um, but we're gonna later establish a bunch of out colony outposts, which will be very useful, but it's gonna take us a bit to get them all set up. But once we do, those will be actually very nice for us. Of course, Nigeria will later destroy several, and then we'll have to rebuild them, which will be very annoying. But you know, we set up a bunch as like a road network, and also resource extraction. Um, in this particular game, we have just a few um, a few actual capital regions and a bunch of and they're kind of spread out, and we have a bunch of colonies that are doing creating our road network, because otherwise our regions would be a little disconnected for the most part. We have some density, but mostly not much density. Um, one of the other games I'm playing right now, I'm much more densely settled, which is a different, interesting um, dynamic. Okay, what am I researching now? Probably standing army. Um, but maybe I research something economic first. I don't know. Uh, yeah, that might make sense. For ship stuff. Um, is that mercantilism? Yeah, that will get me better docks, I think, and some other stuff. Um, Data is mostly irrelevant to me. So I might not actually research that. We have government, which gets the better influence building, and a bank, which gets you a bit more money, but is it's useful if you need more money, I guess. But that's often not a thing you need at this stage in the game, in my experience. Sometimes it is though. Yes, society is a coffee house, all important coffee house, because what would we be without coffee houses? Well, tea houses really for me is what I like, but um, tea, tea. I'm gonna make myself tea shortly. Um, the coffee house is actually a good improvement, though it'll turn coffee and tea into analytics, which gives a fair bit of knowledge. So it's actually quite good. Standing army increases the army size. I can have, as I recall, and allows me to build some units. Most notably the cuirassier, curia, something like that, which is new cavalry, which is good. Um, hmm, yeah, I guess the Age of Discovery gives you a cavalry in the same line. Usually you don't get. Okay, I'm researching. I didn't actually see what I'm researching. Government. Okay, government. Yeah, well, the influence building is having more better influence buildings is a very good thing actually. So, I probably am gonna take this guy out and then end the session, I think, because it looks like we're coming up on the end of the video. So, um, that's probably what I do. I probably wait to do that apparently and take this guy out. I don't know. Maybe I was deciding to let them heal a little bit because I didn't favor my odds. That would be a thing I would do. All right. Um, what are we building here? Um, all right. Gonna build something here, clearly. Privy Council. Uh, maybe not. Church. Okay, a church is useful. Um, um, upgrade stuff. Upgrade the market square. That's certainly useful. And it looks like we are just ending the turn and then going to end the session. So that will be about all for this So I will bid you all farewell, and until next time, take care.